welcome you to BeMoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth.
And absent, we need God. Only God can bring us out of this mess.
Good morning and welcome to the show. My name's Doni Glover, and we have a very special guest today. She's running for governor of the state of Maryland. Her name is Kelly Schulz. Hello, Madam Secretary. How are you?
Good morning, Doni. I'm great. How are you?
I'm excited. Now, the first order of business, besides thanking the good Lord for another day, is I am to share that Gary Mangum sends his greetings.
Well, I send my greetings right back to Gary and Sonia and the whole family.
You know, when I first met Gary, I think it was around 2014. It was up in Walbrook Junction. And he and now governor, then candidate Larry Hogan, decided to take a tour of West Baltimore. And what I most appreciate about it is that he came to a community that's often overlooked, even by Democrats. And they didn't go there just that one time. They've been back, to my knowledge, every year since. So do you foresee having a similar commitment to Baltimore?
Well, I have had that commitment to Baltimore over the course of the last 8 years, Doni. So thank you very much for bringing that up, because it is a very important place for us to be. And I remember in 2015, after the Freddie Gray riots, the governor had asked us, I was the secretary of the Department of Labor at that time, and he had asked us to walk the streets of West Baltimore and go speak to the community to see what we could do in order to be able to help them. That's when I met our good friend Squeaky and Kenny and all of the crew that's doing great things over at the Ruth Kirk Community Center. But what my job was at that point in time was to be able to find ways that we could help to assist the community. So I sat down for maybe a dozen community meetings in that area in West Baltimore to talk about what their needs were, with faith leaders, with parents, with grandparents, with elected officials, being able to make sure that we could provide something to them that was going to help. And as a secretary of labor at the department, my job was to bring workforce development opportunities to that neighborhood, to bring opportunity and options. And that's exactly what we did. And I would imagine, actually, I know that as governor of the state, it will be the same type of attention and detail to that part of the community.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, I met you, now I don't know the current name, but back in my day it was called Booker T Middle School. But I met you, I think I was with the lieutenant governor, and it's a school over on McCullough Street, but you were doing a walkthrough and got a chance to, and again, this is a school often overlooked, even by Black Democrats here in the city of Baltimore. Baltimore is a 9-1 Democratic town. And I was reading some of your tweets this morning. You have some concerns about education.
Yeah, I think we should all have some concerns about education. And we've been talking about this since I announced my candidacy over a year ago, last April, talking about making sure that every child in our state has the opportunity for a world-class education, regardless of the zip code that they live in. And we knew that there were some that were not receiving that world-class education. And we did tour. And I remember meeting you then with the lieutenant governor as well, that I was at the Department of Labor at that point in time. And we were talking about workforce opportunities in the schools, talking about youth apprenticeships, talking about ways in order to be connecting businesses with our school system. So children have the opportunity to know what's outside of their neighborhood and outside the schools. But I have to say, and I hope you feel the same way, I am outraged at the very new information that's come out about Baltimore City schools. And I would hope that everybody shares in that outrage because our children are missing out and they're being defrauded of the education that they should be receiving.
And you're talking about over 12,000 students out of an $80,000 student number. 12 of those 80,000 had their grades changed. They may not have passed, pushed along. It's not new to us. And maybe that's the challenge in Baltimore. I liken it unto dating. It's like dating someone that takes you for granted.
Well, I will say there has been 12,000 accounts that have been reported. What I'm calling for is an independent investigation. Thankfully, Governor Hogan put together, the auditing, the transparency organization, an independent IG office to be able to do this research. We're asking for something even more and above that from our campaign and for me personally as the candidate for governor, because we want to be able to make sure the depths that are truly out there. And if this has been going on for this long, who knows how long it's been going on for? And so now we have a school system that seems to be okay with putting children out in their young adult or late youth lives onto the street without a public school system behind them, without the education that they need in order to be successful. That's wrong. I'm outraged. It's a tragedy. We have to fix this because, we talk about three things in our campaign that we've been talking about for over a year. Safety, because without safety, nothing else matters. We talk about education and being able to have steady, strong leadership within our educational system. That's failing many people, especially in our majority minority school districts, and prosperity. And without safety and without steady opportunities in education, you can't get to your personal prosperity. And we need to fix that.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up just north of Detroit in Warren, Michigan. Went to public schools and moved here to Maryland about 20 years ago.
Did you ever wait tables?
Oh my goodness, Donnie. I waited tables a long time. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I was born just north of Detroit, like I said, and I was bound and determined to be the first person in my family to graduate from college. And I went to college, thank you very much. And in my sophomore year, I got pregnant. I dropped out of school. I got married. I spent the next 15 years raising my then two children and doing anything that I could in order to be able to make ends meet. And we were working paycheck to paycheck like so many hardworking Marylanders today. So I waited a lot of tables at night and I tended a lot of bar just to make ends meet. Now, gratefully, I thought that going back to college was really important for me. So at the ripe age of 36 years old, I was the first person from my family to graduate from college when I came down here to Frederick. But I know how hard it is to build yourself up and to look at your surroundings, but also more importantly to look at the opportunities that you have. And I think that's one of the benefits that I felt when I graduated was my kids were older. They were in high school. They were thinking about what their futures were too. And they were able to see their mom fulfill her dream and walk across that stage. Now my children are older, but I waited tables all through that period of time until I graduated from college. And it was really, really important for me to be able to help the families. But right now, I'm looking at those families that are still working paycheck to paycheck. And I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know how they're making ends meet with the rising cost of everything from gas to groceries and everything that they need. And that's really disheartening. And we have to do something to help.
So I waited tables too.
Yeah.
Started
That's
off,
why you're so nice. It's good customer service training.
it's excellent training. Chuck Harrison from Tillman Island down on the Eastern Shore, he said,
Mhm.
Glover, if you stick with me, you'll make a lot of money. But I want to get to something. I had not made that kind of money and certainly wasn't used to making that kind of cash on a daily basis. And I'll never forget the year the IRS just came out the blue and say, Glover, you owe this amount of money, going back to tip declarations and all. But the question I have for you is, and you already know this, you worked in the hospitality business. It's addictive. I
Mhm.
didn't want to give up my weekends. I didn't want to give up holidays because that quite often meant double shifts. And you're wondering where I'm going with this. How does one, because it was life changing for me. It was a young lady named Amber. We're still friends to this day. And I was a waiter captain. I said, I was in charge of side work. And I was tough. You got to do your side work before you leave. Everybody does. But I wanted stuff right. I mean, you can't just wipe at it. You got to wipe it. And Amber said, I'll never, ever forget Amber. She said, Donnie, not everybody wants to be a great waiter like you. And it was like a smack upside the head, like, man, you were just supposed to be waiting tables to go back to school. Lo and behold, life happened. And with the support of my dad, God rest his soul, I did make it back too. But I never intended on waiting tables forever. But Amber gave me that wake up call. And again, we're still friends to this day. And she may not realize what she did for me. She kind of got me back on course because again, it's easy to get over in that hospitality world, late nights, uh, mornings. I don't even remember mornings unless I had to work a breakfast, and who wants to work breakfast? But how did you go back? Was it a challenge? Was it a struggle?
I think, of course, it was a challenge and of course it was a struggle, but, I look at my life and everything was challenging, right? Just like everybody else. And you have to have a vision, you have to have an understanding of where you want to be. I think for me, a big part of it was wanting to be a great influence to my children, to be able to make sure that they knew that no matter where you are, no matter where you grew up, or no matter how you started your adult life, you have the opportunity to achieve those dreams. And for those people that are still in the hospitality industry, it's great business. And, by the way, there's looking for a lot of employees. There's a lot of great jobs out there. And is it going to be a stepping stone for some? Sure. But is it going to be a lifelong career for some? Absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that you have to dedicate yourself to something, but always be open to opportunities that are there. Um, I'll say this. I never in a million years when I was younger, when I was my kid's age, I never thought, when I grow up, I want to be the Secretary of Labor. I didn't even know what the Secretary of Labor was, right? Or the Secretary of Commerce. But you live your life with your eyes wide open and you look at all of the potential opportunities that come your way and you make choices in your life. We want to make sure in my campaign that those opportunities still exist. And so that for those that are looking for something outside of what they think might be their only part of their future, then they have choices to make and they have opportunities. That's what we've done so well in the state is going to neighborhoods like West Baltimore and other parts of the state to make sure that people know that there are other things they can do. We talk about STEM occupations. We talk about getting involved in, computer science and the healthcare industry and the finance world. And we developed those programs so that students can and young adults can get into these up and coming, very vibrant industries. I'm really proud of that.
This is off the cuff. Do you think, the last time I saw you in person, you were standing right there, and I'm getting ready to kick the can over. Didn't I hear Governor Hogan say did he say he was considering running for mayor of Baltimore?
I I don't remember that statement. We'll have to check with
Well,
him on
well,
that. But
I just want to tell you, if he is, he should move to Sandtown. He should get a house right here in my block of Sandtown, 1100 North Carrollton Avenue, and we can fix this block together. And that would be a great entry into the mayor's race.
well,
I
I
know.
would not be surprised if Governor Hogan is watching your show right now. But if he's not, I'll make sure that I pass that message along to him. And you know that he has fully endorsed my campaign, and he's really excited about continuing the work that we have worked so hard on as administration. I was with him for 7 years. Just left in January to do this full time, but there's a lot of good things that we have been able to accomplish. But Donnie, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done.
So, is it true that you and Lieutenant Governor Rutherford are in the area today, tomorrow, something like that?
We're actually going to be in the area on Sunday. I'm going
Okay.
to a church service with him on Sunday morning, Lieutenant Governor, and then I don't know if he's gonna be able to stay with me all day, but I'll be visiting some businesses in Baltimore for the rest of the day before, before I head out to other parts of the state. It's gonna
Well,
be a
I
busy
gotta
day.
tell you, he's a friend of mine. I don't use the word lightly, having lost my mom's 37 years ago. My friends are my family. And I can tell you this about the LG. He's been the same person. I only saw him get ticked off one time. It was during a campaign, and someone wanted his attention. And so as cool and calm as he is, uh, I tried to caution the person, don't get on that bad side. He's from Washington D.C., an alumni, Howard U. But more than that, he's a man of his word, and that's what I will always. And he's a family man. I gotta ask you, at your announcement, your husband was there, your son was there. You have a daughter?
My son was there with his wife, my
Right, right,
daughter-in-law, my
right.
oldest son. My youngest son and his wife and my grandson were not able to attend, but half of the
How
kids.
does it feel? And I saw your husband. I commend your husband. Let me tell you why. Clearly, you're an attractive woman, and I just wonder, how does the man keep his calm with all of these men just trying to get your attention? He's given us all some lessons on how to stand by your woman. I was very proud and honored, and a gracious guy.
Well, he is very gracious and he is a wonderful husband. We are all very fortunate to have him. And he has been so supportive of my career, but he has a very successful career as well. So, we have to, in any marriage, you have to support each other and what your dreams are. And very fortunate to have him on my side for sure.
Excellent. Family is everything. I think that's why the lieutenant governor decided to pause, because happy home. That's
Yeah. Donnie, listen, the lieutenant governor and the governor have put in, well, almost 8 years now of such wonderful service to our state, and I commend them. But you know how exhausting it can be for not only you personally, but of course also for the family. And I commend them for. I bet they're still going to stay involved in some aspects, but they put in a good 8 years, and we're very fortunate to have had them. But, one of the areas that we have to continue to work on that they were successful in some parts with the Justice Reinvestment Act portion of our crime and our safety um, policies, there's still a lot of work to do. Because, Donnie, remember I told you I was that young mom and I had those kids and, you didn't really know a lot, but I wasn't putting my kids to bed at night underneath the bed because I was afraid for them getting hit by a stray bullet. I wasn't worried about getting carjacked with my kids when I was walking out of my house or being, assaulted violently at a park when I was with my kids. Parents and families and communities need to know that when they leave their home or when they're in their home, they're going to be safe. And we have to work to be able to make sure that we continue that. Violent crime, repeat violent criminals, those offenses, they have to be taken seriously, and we have to keep the criminals in jail and make sure that the repeat violent offenders stay there for their sentences. And that's part of how we're going to help to clean up the streets and keep people safe. Because remember, I said without safety, nothing else matters. And we can't get to those opportunities and that prosperity part of what we want to talk about without first being free and comfortable to move amongst your community.
Freddie Gray happened in 2015. This is 2022. I can tell you that the Project Core has come through Sandtown. God, I thank God. East Baltimore, West Baltimore, tear down these vacants that have been vacant for 20, 30 years. Invariably, a comment will come from the balcony saying, "Oh, what you going to do now? You tore them down. What you going to replace them with?" First of all, I've been looking at it for 20 years. I'm glad not to be looking at them.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a really important part of the process, right? Cleaning up our neighborhoods so that people are proud of where they live, and so that we take away those havens for people that might not be doing positive things in those havens and those abandoned buildings. We're going to continue Project Core, put more money into it. We're going to continue to make sure that there are workforce opportunities right there in their town so that they can get to those workforce opportunities, get the training and the skills that they need so that they can experience their own opportunities.
Did Donald Trump get it or did he miss the boat?
Oh gosh, that's a very tough question. It's hard to say. I guess we have to ask him that, how he feels about that. But we have to win this election. And July 19th is our Republican primary, and we have to win the general election in November in order to be able to make sure that the policies that we've had here in the state of Maryland under Governor Hogan and Lieutenant Governor Rutherford and our entire administration, that we continue to move forward. My opponents will raise the taxes in this state. We haven't raised taxes or fees in almost 8 years now. We have to be able to make sure that we have our policies really strong on transparency and accountability, and that parents have a choice for our kids. Because if our kids are in a failing school, parents should have a choice to put them into a non-failing school. That is the empowerment of the parents, and that's the accountability of the school system. And we have got to continue with our path to be able to make sure that we have the best economy in the nation. And that's what I will do more so than any of the other candidates that are running. I am the one that knows how to keep Maryland on the right path.
I gotta ask you.
And just one, I have to run to another meeting, Donnie. So just one more minute.
Okay. America has 5% of the world's population, but we have 25% of the world's inmates. The zip code I live in, 21217, we're almost a feeder for the Department of Corrections. At the same time, these are the same communities experiencing gun violence, undereducation, if not a fraudulent Baltimore City public school system. How do we change that trajectory so we're a young person, 8 years old at Sandtown Winchester Academy, actually their trajectory could be governor, could be astronaut, could be scientist or lawyer. How do we reverse the mass incarceration and put the emphasis on education? Because it seems we're doing the reverse.
Well, and I'll just be very brief because that is obvious, as you know, Donnie. If it was an easy fix, it would have been fixed already, right? But this is what I know from my experience that I've done professionally. When I was the Secretary of Labor, I was in charge of correctional education in all of our state prisons in the prison system. So that was everything from getting their adult education, their GEDs, their high school diplomas, workforce development training, all of that. I've gone to those graduations in each one of the prison systems, so I know what you're talking about, those that have not. I have watched 50-year-old men cry at a graduation when they've received their high school diploma in the prison system. They will tell you, so this is not me saying it, they will tell you if they had the opportunity to go back and get their education again when they were young, that would have changed the trajectory of their life. So again, what Baltimore City is doing by not allowing these kids the opportunity to get the world-class education that they need, it's criminal, it's fraudulent, and it is going to ruin another generation of our children. And we have to make sure that we stay strong to be able to hold the school system accountable so that the kids do have a fighting chance. And that's what I'm going to fight for every single day when I'm governor.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary, for joining us today. Thank you to your team.
Thank you, Donnie. Have a blessed day.
Yes, ma'am. So there you have it, folks. First interview with Secretary Kelly Schulz. She's running for governor in the state of Maryland. We got a whole bunch of comments here. Lord have mercy. I can't carry trays on a klutz. Yes, you can carry trays. If we do not focus on our lost children in foster care and improving our school system, the streets will rule. You got that right, Miss Sylvia. Our public schools and our colleges are our new slave blocks, preparing youth for failure while they change grades. For you who do not know, Sylvia Harris is the mom of our beloved councilman, Kenneth Harris, God rest his soul. He was one of the, besides Boyd Rutherford, Kenny Harris was my biggest supporter. our biggest supporter. What schools is chat? What schools are closing all over Baltimore? Rico, how you doing? All right, folks. So there you have it. Our first interview on the Republican side for governor. As you know, the election is July the 19th. I hope that you are registered to vote. Make sure you make it your business to reach out to candidates. They are people. They do answer their phones. They do answer their emails. Just like I call them, you can call them. If you need, on that note, if you need anyone in Baltimore City, call 410-396-3100. Anyone on Baltimore City payroll. You got a rat problem, you got a vacant house next door, and on those vacants, listen, 2-3 neighbors, that's all you got to do is come together and make those consistent calls. And I think it's a real waste of time. But how it works is if you call 311, whether you're dealing with drug dealers, trash, illegal dumping, get 2 or 3 of your neighbors. You'd be surprised what you can accomplish. I know what one person can accomplish. They said, if you think one person can't do something, try spending the night with a mosquito. The point is, if one person can be effective, then certainly 2 or 3. And the word says that anyway, where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there should be in the midst. We've got to get to know our neighbors, self-included. Senator Hayes came around here the other day, last week. And next thing I know, we had a community meeting right in the middle of the street. I had neighbors who were interested, and I didn't even know. Silly me. Reach out to your neighbors, team up, have a community meeting. You don't have to do 72 square blocks of Sandtown. You might do your block, but that's more than what you had before. Get involved. So if you got a problem with the city, 410-396-3100. Know who your city council person is. Know who your city council vice president and president are. And certainly know who your mayor is. If you have a problem on the state level, call 410-841-3000, 410-841-3000, 410-841-3000. Now I want to ask a question and answer a question that some may have. Like, Donnie, how could you dare interview the Republican? Well, I'm not married to the Democrats or the Republicans. I'm married to my community, to my family, to my city. And I want what's best for my community. So I don't care if you're in red, dressed in blue. I want to know who's going to serve my community. And one good indication is who's been to my community now. Not after the election. Who's been to my community now? Who's been to my community in the past 3 months, 6 months? Don't talk around my community. Come to my community. On that note, this Saturday, we have the historic 2022 Pennsylvania Avenue Parade. Some people call it Cadillac Parade. I won't dare step on George Gilliam's dream. But in the same vein, the parade goes down, line up Penn North, 11 o'clock this Saturday, June 11th. This year's flying by. The parade kicks off at 12 noon. This is the biggest parade in West Baltimore. Big ups to our team, Evan Anderson, Chuck Lee, Dave Lovelace. I'm honored to be a part of this team. Only 4 of us. Last year, we actually got more help from the streets than we did from the suites. Imagine that. I want to say this. I was reading some article last night about the Baltimore Community Foundation. Millions of dollars come through nonprofits in the Baltimore. Nonprofits who claim to be making Baltimore better. Where's that money being spent? Can anybody tell me? Because murder's going through the roof. Now I'm seeing these annual reports. Oh, we're cutting crime. We're doing this. We're empowering people. Somebody lying. Because if millions and millions of dollars are coming through for East Baltimore, for West Baltimore, and these people are writing reports saying that they are making these incredible strides, then why in the hell is Baltimore so violently dangerous? Why are we not educating our children? Why is 1 in 8 of our young people being pushed along? And that's just what we know of. Why? Why do we continue to accept crap when we should be eating 5-star dinners? We accepting oodles of noodles when we're supposed to be at the Capitol Grill somewhere. Better yet, we're supposed to have our own farms and our own cattle and our own chefs. All of this money comes through Baltimore. Where is it being spent? And where's the accountability? Kelly Schulz asked for an investigation on North Avenue. I want to see an audit. And I think some people should go to jail. There's some people, and I believe a lot of them are Black, stealing. How in the world could you, in good conscience, take a 6-figure salary from Baltimore City Public Schools, considering the product that we're producing? When did the School for the Arts get better grades than Baltimore Polytechnic? My name's Donnie Glover. I will see you next time. Be nice, drink plenty of water, and listen, let me tell you something else. If you're walking down the street by yourself, why the hell you got a mask on? Bye-bye.